Welcome back to NextGen Wheels, the channel where we break down the biggest stories automakers hope you never find out about. Today's investigation starts in a quiet North Carolina town, inside a Ford dealership that once stood as a symbol of pride, stability, and small-town success, but now, the lights are off, the doors are shut, and the lot is nothing more than a field of fading parking lines. What happened here is not just a local story. It is the first crack in a massive nationwide problem Ford can't afford to ignore. Let's get into it. In the small town of Whiteville, North Carolina, there was once a dealership called Patriot Ford. This wasn't just another place to buy trucks. It was a community landmark. For years, families bought their first vehicles there. Workers made a steady living, and locals trusted the service center like an old friend. But then, without warning, everything stopped. Employees arrived one morning to discover locked gates, empty offices, and zero explanations. Customers with pending orders and scheduled services, also left in the dark. No goodbye sale, no gradual wind down, nothing. It was as if the entire business disappeared between sundown and sunrise. And here's the thing. Whiteville is not alone. This exact scene is happening in small towns across America. And Ford's deeper financial problems are at the center of it. On the surface, you might think, Ford? Come on, they're huge. They'll be fine. But dig deeper and the cracks become massive. Ford's stock recently took a major hit, a drop of about 18% after their latest earnings call. That's not a small correction. That's an alarm bell. Investors are worried because the company is burning through cash at a pace that's impossible to ignore. And the biggest fire Ford is trying to put out? Their electric vehicle division, which is losing between $5 billion and $5.5 billion this year alone. That's the kind of financial bleed that forces companies to make sudden, painful decisions. Decisions like cutting dealer support, tightening inventory, and leaving small towns with no lifeline. But wait, the story gets even worse. Ford is spending billions on warranty claims and recalls. In just one quarter, they dropped an additional $800 million on warranty expenses, bringing the total to around $2.3 billion for that period. Now add nearly 1.9 million recalled Explorer SUVs into the mix. And it's clear Ford isn't just fighting financial problems. They're fighting product problems too. Now that we know Ford's financial storm is much bigger than it looks on the surface, here's where things hit even harder. Small-town dealerships are the first to feel the shockwaves. Let's go back to Patriot Ford in Whiteville for a second. On paper, it looks like a tiny dot in Ford's massive national network. But for small towns like Whiteville, a dealership isn't just a retail business. It's a lifeline. So why did Patriot Ford collapse so suddenly? Because when Ford's balance sheets start bleeding, the pressure lands directly on the small dealers first. Why Ford's dealers are breaking down. Think about this. If Ford is losing billions on electric vehicles, they need to sell more EVs. Fast. Their solution? Push EV inventory onto dealers. But here's the problem. Small towns don't want 70,000 plotters electric trucks. They want practical, affordable vehicles that fit real-life budgets, not luxury-priced tech experiments. So Ford demands dealers push EV sales, but customers aren't biting. That leaves small-town dealerships stuck with vehicles they can't move and goals they can't hit. And while that's happening, quality control problems are draining even more money out of Ford's pockets. Every recall, every warranty claim, every unexpected cost means less support and tighter restrictions for dealers. Dealers aren't getting the marketing budgets they used to. They're getting fewer incentives. Inventory shipments get squeezed. Margins get tighter. It's like trying to keep a business alive while someone keeps closing the oxygen valve. Here's the twist no one saw coming. The vehicle that once saved Ford, the F-150, is now a massive burden. For decades, the F-150 was the bread and butter of nearly every Ford dealer. Small towns bought them, contractors bought them, families bought them. But today, the average F-150 has become too expensive for the everyday buyer. Ford turned their workhorse into a luxury vehicle, and it's backfiring. Then there's the F-150 Lightning, Ford's electric pickup. Price tag around $75,000 before add-ons. That's the cost of a house in some parts of America. And small-town buyers aren't dropping that kind of money on a truck, and electric or not. Dealers like Patriot Ford end up with inventory they can't sell, trucks nobody can afford, pressure from Ford they can't meet. It's a losing game. Dealers are trapped in a vicious cycle. Here's how the cycle works. 1. Ford raises prices to chase higher profit margins. 2. Customers in small towns stop buying. 3. Dealers can't move inventory. 4. Dealers order fewer vehicles. 5. Ford's revenue drops even more. 6. Ford tightens dealer support even further, and the cycle repeats on harder each time. This is exactly how small towns lose dealerships overnight. Not because they mismanaged anything, but because Ford's national strategy doesn't fit local reality. So far, we've talked about Ford's financial crisis and how it's crushing small-town dealerships. But there's another massive decision Ford made that pushed many dealers, including Patriot Ford, right off the edge. Ford walked away from affordable sedans, and that single move reshaped the entire small-town auto market in ways the company didn't expect. Ford ditched the cars people actually needed. A few years ago, Ford made a bold call. No more Focus, no more Fusion, no more Taurus. They kept the Mustang, sure, but that's not a practical family vehicle or a budget-friendly daily driver. Ford believed trucks and SUVs would carry the company. Bigger vehicles meant bigger profit margins, and for a while that plan worked. But here's the flaw. They ignored millions of buyers who still needed reliable, affordable transportation. Families, commuters, students, retirees, all pushed out of Ford's lineup overnight. Dealers like Patriot Ford suddenly had no sedans to offer the people who couldn't afford a $60,000 truck. That's a huge chunk of customers gone instantly. While Ford doubled down on expensive trucks and luxury SUVs, the market started shifting in the opposite direction.
Right now,
Subcompact crossover sales are up around 20%. Compact car demand has risen over 12%. Truck sales have dropped around 4%. Consumers aren't chasing high-end vehicles. They're chasing affordability. And affordability is something Ford doesn't currently offer. There's only one new car in the entire U.S. market under $20,000. Just one. And it's not a Ford. It's the Mitsubishi Mirage, a model that's likely disappearing soon. This isn't just a Ford issue. It's an industry-wide crisis. But Ford made themselves vulnerable by abandoning the lower-cost segment entirely. The ripple effect on small dealers. With no affordable sedans to sell, small-town Ford dealerships faced a brutal reality. Loyal customers left with no options. Entry-level buyers went elsewhere. Young drivers couldn't afford Ford's lineup. Inventory became too expensive to move. Profits dropped month after month. A parts manager from Patriot Ford summed it up perfectly. It's really tough. And that's an understatement. Dealers lost the very models that kept their business stable. Customers walked out empty-handed. Service departments got quieter. Showrooms lost foot traffic. The dealership that once felt like the heartbeat of Whiteville started losing pulse long before those doors were locked. The bigger picture. Ford didn't just stop selling sedans. They unintentionally cut off the lifeline of many small communities. Families who depended on modest, sensible, affordable cars were left behind. And dealers who depended on steady sedan sales, they were left behind too. This decision didn't just change Ford's lineup. It changed the entire economic ecosystem of small-town America. When a Ford dealership dies, the whole town feels it. Up to now, we've talked about Ford's collapsing strategy, shrinking sedan lineup, and sky-high pricing. But the real impact hits far beyond the company's bottom line. When a dealership like Patriot Ford shuts down, a whole community absorbs the shock. Because in small towns like Whiteville, a car dealership isn't just a place to buy a vehicle. It's an economic engine. And when that engine stalls, everything around it begins to struggle. A town without its lifeline. When Patriot Ford locked its doors, the ripple effect was immediate. Mechanics, service techs, and salespeople were suddenly unemployed. The local diner that relied on lunch rush traffic started seeing empty booths. Auto parts suppliers saw their revenue drop. Community sponsorships disappeared, from youth sports teams to local charity events. A dealership may look like one business from the outside, but inside a small town it's the heartbeat. And when that heartbeat stops, the town feels like it's losing a part of its identity. The economic domino effect. People often underestimate how important local dealerships are. They bring steady jobs, local tax revenue, sponsorships, and daily foot traffic. But when the auto market gets tougher, interest rates climb and car payments skyrocket, small-town America gets hit first and hardest. Today, new car prices are up over $1,000 compared to 5 years ago. Many mainstream models sit above $40,000. More Americans are falling behind on car payments than at any time in the last decade. Some people are simply choosing to skip car ownership altogether, an impossible choice in places like Whiteville, where public transportation barely exists. And with Patriot Ford gone, residents now have fewer choices, longer travel distances, and higher service costs. The emotional toll no one talks about. This isn't just economics, and it's personal. A longtime parts manager at Patriot Ford put it bluntly. It's really tough. You're talking about people's lives. He's right. For decades, Patriot Ford wasn't just a dealership. It was where neighbors met, where families bought their first trucks, where local workers built careers that supported their homes. When the dealership vanished, that stability vanished with it. Ford's decisions reshaped these towns. Ford's push into luxury trucks, their retreat from affordable cars, their soaring vehicle prices, their quality control failures, all funneled pressure downward, and that pressure landed directly on places like Whiteville. The truth is this: Ford didn't just adjust its product strategy. Whether they intended to or not, they rewrote the economic future of dozens of small American towns. And many of those towns are still trying to figure out what comes next. Ford's new strategy. Too late to save small-town America. Ford knows it's in trouble, and now the company is trying to slam on the brakes, change course, and rebuild before the damage becomes irreversible. But the question is simple. Is Ford's recovery plan coming too late for the towns already left behind? Let's break down what Ford is doing, and what it means for the future of car buyers and local dealerships. Ford finally admits its EV strategy failed. After losing $5 to $5.5 billion on electric vehicles this year alone, Ford finally said what everyone else already knew. Their EV strategy wasn't working. Jim Farley, Ford's CEO, is now pulling back on big, expensive electric trucks and shifting focus to hybrids, smaller, cheaper EVs, commercial vehicles. In other words, Ford is trying to build vehicles people might actually afford, not trucks priced like luxury condos. Farley even admitted the company needs EVs that can turn a profit within 12 months, not 5 years. That's a big change in tone from all-in electric to we have to survive first. But here's the problem. Fixing the strategy now doesn't undo the damage already done. Competition is closing in fast. While Ford tries to pivot, companies like BYD in China are flooding global markets with cheaper EVs and hybrids. We're talking vehicles with lower production costs, competitive technology, aggressive pricing. Ford isn't fighting one problem. It's fighting a global shift. And the dealers caught in the middle? They're paying the price for decisions they had no control over. Can this new plan save dealerships like Patriot Ford? Maybe, but not without major changes, and not quickly. For Ford's new approach to work, 3 things must happen. 1. Ford must actually build affordable vehicles again. No more talking about it. They need cars on the lot that normal families can buy. 2. Dealers need stronger support. Better financing, better marketing, better inventory planning. You can't rebuild trust when your dealers feel abandoned. 3. Ford must fix its quality issues. No recalls, no waves of warranty costs, no design flaws. Small-town customers do not forget or forgive repeated breakdowns. If Ford can pull this off, then maybe dealerships like Patriot Ford could one day return. But the reality is harsh. Some communities won't get a second chance. What this means for you, the car buyer. Right now, the smartest move for most people is simple. Used cars are still the best value. If buying new, look for smaller models with lower running costs. Skip the luxury-priced trucks unless you truly need them. Because automakers are still chasing big profit margins, while buyers are chasing affordability. And that gap is wider than ever. The final question: can Ford rebuild what it lost? Ford can make a comeback. They've survived wars, recessions, fuel crises, and the EV gold rush. And their commercial vehicle division is still strong. A lifeline they desperately need. But small towns like Whiteville, many have already taken the hit. And even if Ford fixes everything starting today, the dealerships, the jobs, the families, the local economies, they won't bounce back overnight. Thanks for riding with NextGen Wheels, where we dig into the truth automakers won't tell you. If you found this breakdown useful, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring that bell so you never miss the stories shaping the future of the auto industry. This is NextGen Wheels signing off, bringing you the real story behind the badge.